Central are back. After a 2-year hiatus, we're back in Division 1, and with Chris Tompkinson in the dugout, we're ready to fight back to where we belong.
We are Central.
We are Central.
We are Central.
Well, it means everything, doesn't it?
Save! Johnny Hadlow saves for Central! Central are Murray Trophy champions!
Josh Frith has the ball now for Central! Justin scores! Central has done it!
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Central Chat, our brand new Manchester Central podcast. Today we're here with first team manager Chris Tompkinson. Chris, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Rory. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. So we're going to start off. Obviously, this is the first podcast, so I'm going to just go back to last season.
Yeah.
For starters, obviously we got to a really good start last year. Kind of fell off sort of towards the middle of the end of the season. Ended up finishing 8th. What are your thoughts on last season?
As you say, we got off to a great start, didn't we? I think we won 5, lost 1 in the first 6, and obviously sitting top of the league. But as we knew, we've obviously been in this division before and in this leagues before for a long time. 15 years we've been around it, and we know that you got to keep it up and you got to be consistent all the way through. It was really disappointing, to be fair. I think we went 9 games in the league without a win. I think it was from September to, I think our next win was February, I think it was. Which not in just this kind of level of football, if you want to try and win things and get promoted, then you can't go on runs like that. And ultimately, it did cost us. The season on the whole, the thing that kind of was plain to see and blatant to see from myself and Paul and the other coaches that are around is the commitment of lads was not there from a lot of lads. We had the main ones, your Dan Dollins, obviously Danny, who was in net last year, that was kind of around it all season, but then the main 3 or 4 lads that you'd want in your team all season were kind of hit in and out. Maybe would play one game, then you wouldn't see them for another 4 or 5 weeks, which I'm sure is the kind of same for most teams at this level. Bar those 3 that got promoted last year. I think if you looked at those 3 last year that got promoted, they probably had pretty much the same 11, same 16, pretty much all the way through the season, which we didn't have. We had some very good individual players, which I think most people in this league that came up against us will probably notify and see that we had very good individuals. But collectively as a team, we just weren't good enough, which again was on our part as coaches. And we kind of just wanted to get through the season and start again this pre-season, which is exactly what we've done. So disappointed to finish 8th, but nice to get to a cup final, obviously, which everyone wants to do. And we've had a lot of positives in that season last year, obviously disappointments alongside it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke there about the sort of some of the lads were sort of in and out, not really 100% in it, which obviously we know in this league, in all the divisions within the Manchester Football League, you have to have that consistency. We've got a lot of new lads that have come in over the summer. So far, from what you've seen from them, have you been impressed?
Yeah, very, mate. We've probably only got from last season, maybe only 4 lads that we've kind of kept around it and wanted to keep around it, to be honest with you. Lads that we had in the past, that don't get us wrong, they've done a brilliant job for us in the 2 seasons we've been back, getting us promoted, getting us to a final. But they kind of ran the course, a lot of those players, which naturally happens. They want a new challenge. We need a new challenge, and it needs freshening up massively. And like I say, we can't thank those lads that we had previously enough. But the lads we've got in seem hungry and actually want to be here. We've had a couple that kind of come in and said that they want to maybe look at playing for a couple of other teams, under 21s, under 23s, and we've kind of drawn a line under that and have said, no, that doesn't happen this year. This is what killed us last year, as I just alluded to before. But the quality's still there, mate. The lads that, maybe not individually as good as some of the players we had last year, but they just want to be there. They work hard, they run, they listen to what we've said. And the most pleasing thing about pre-season is the way we want to play, they've all taken it on board, they've listened, and they've actually want to be there, which for us is massive. We can cope with them and work with them. As you know, Rory, that the seasons we got promoted to the Premier Division, in the Premier Division, we had maybe 3 or 4 really good, outstanding players, but the rest of the lads were just solid, knew what they were doing, understood the positions and the role, And it seems like we've maybe got that. Now, obviously, it's very early days, but during pre-season, we've seen snippets of that. So plenty to build on.
Yeah, I mean, like you said there, the pre-season it's the majority about the performances rather than the results. Obviously, we've been fortunate enough this pre-season to have good performances backed up by solid results. 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Have you been impressed with the way that pre-season's gone?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the one loss, it was against Poyton, and they're a very good, solid team that finished 4th in the Cheshire Premier Division last season. Who were a good, physical, well-organised outfit, and we only lost that to a penalty. So having a lot of new lads come in, and we've definitely changed the way we want to play. And the lads, like I just said before, the lads that are still around it, and the new lads that have come in have taken that on board, and they seem to have adapted really, really well. And very pleasing, some very pleasing performances. The Manchester Gregorians one, for instance, and was very good. Maybe not most outstanding performance, but as a team performance, the way the lads worked and how they worked was great. And that has, to be fair, we've seen that all the way through pre-season, and some of the football we've played at times has been really good, and that's how we want to focus. And going forward, definitely a change of mindset from us as coaches of how we want to play. And then obviously that should then hopefully filter down to the team, which during pre-season it has been. So it's been a very good pre-season so far, mate.
Is there any players that particularly stood out to you? Like you said, there was a few that we've kept on from last season. We've got a lot of new names. Is there anyone that you're really excited to see sort of pushing on in the league?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's probably seen on Instagram and stuff, Jurgen, who's come through Football Futures, which is a subsidiary, and we're kind of a partnership with those. With Football Futures, a really good college-based program, which is obviously something we know and Paul knows a lot of. He's very experienced behind. Jurgen's come through and has done brilliant, and I'm sure he will only kick on. Same with Ebu as well, 2 16-year-old lads who have both kind of, Ebu more so first steps into adult football. They've both been brilliant. So apart from them two, Jake, a new centre-half, he's come in and been very surprising. Very steady, really well organised, quite pacey, has done very well. Alongside Dan at the back, I think they'll make a decent partnership. But few surprised us. Kyle, who was kind of in and out and training last season, played a few games, has done really well in pre-season at right back. Same with Rory, who we've known for a long time. Again, didn't really play much last season, but come back to pre-season and done really well. Across the whole board, mate, some very good performances, and like I say, the lads just actually want to be there. So I'd say standout wise, definitely Jurgen and Ebu have been brilliant. Tom in centre midfield, again, kind of played towards the end of last season, has really come in and done very well. He's a very good footballer as well. So yeah, it's nice to see that we have got a better quality in there, but all lads are all good footballers as well.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke there about the Football Futures partnership.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a club at Manchester Central, we've always had a comparatively younger squad compared to a lot of the other teams that we've been playing in the league. How important do you think that partnership is going to be for the club going forward?
That's massive. As you just said, you hit the nail on the head. We've always had it with Central, whether it was with Feta, which was the very first, where all those lads came through, your Corey, Bentley Knights, Paul Riley's, Elvis's, all Dan Parker. So they were all massive. Josh Frith as well, just to name another one. They were all lads that got Central to where they are, and they came through Feta from obviously very, very first stage. So having a partnership like Football Futures is massive. Not only does it give you access to good young players, which it has with 2, and there's probably another 7 or 8 within another 6 to 8 months' time could easily be working their way into at least training and onto some games. It's massive. It really is. And like I say, it gives you a little bit of a heads up against your competitors, against other teams, especially if you don't have a reserve team, which we don't. And as you say, we at Central have always been massive on trying to give young lads a chance, lads that maybe haven't progressed on or haven't got the opportunities that they've maybe wanted at other teams or at higher levels. We're all about that. We'll always help lads. As long as lads are, as we always say, are always dedicated and give us the commitment that we need, we'll always help lads on. So having Football Futures is massive, with Jurgen and Ebu to start with. and it will be going forward. And we just bounce off each other. Obviously, having Paul that's obviously in charge of it, I'm going to be helping coaching as well. It just kind of gives a bit of a continuity through the whole team, where the Football Futures lads will want to play the same way as we will at the first team. So if lads do come in, you've got that continuity, and we'll always give lads a chance. And we're always happy for lads to progress on, which is something we've always have done. We want to obviously for them to help us first and progress with us. And then, obviously the main aim, if lads always do want to try and progress on, we'll help them as long as they are dedicated and committed to us.
Yeah, I mean, with such a lot of young players coming in, a lot of new players coming in, it's always going to be quite important to be able to sort of balance that out with players that have been there a little bit longer. Captain Dan Dolling, obviously, is one of the most important players that we've got. You've seen him in pre-season when there's been a goal. He's the first one there to celebrate, whether you've been there one game, whether you've been there 2 years. How important is him and his leadership skills to this squad?
Yeah, Dan was one of the main players from the very first game when we started playing. We obviously reformed again along with a couple of other lads like the Elliots, and he's a little bit older than the other lads, a bit more maturity, and that's why he's captain. Like you say, he's vocal. He gets the lads. He's got a really good enthusiasm about him, a really good character about him, and he is a vital part to the team, not only ability-wise, but how he is as a person as well. He had maybe, even though he was pretty consistent last year, he had maybe one or two tough spells in games, which happens. But Dan will always be at training. He'll always be at games, and he'll always try his hardest and put his heart on the line to help us out as a club. So having Dad is massive, and that's why he's captain. And he does definitely lead by example, and he is a really good lad and a good player as well, which is always a beneficial.
Yeah, well, we actually spoke to Dan earlier in the day, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, last season it was very disappointing, really. I do feel like we should have at least challenged to get into the first division, Premier Division even. At least challenged, but like I say, we started well, and then just throughout the season, it was just, I don't think the team vibe wasn't there. It just wasn't about the team. There was a few individuals at the team, and it just wasn't to be last season. Like I say, the results just weren't going our way at all. We're going away. We'll put in a good few, maybe 3 or 4 weeks on the trot. We'd have a few good results, and then it'd be 4 or 5 bad weeks sort of thing. And we just couldn't keep the ball rolling. We got it rolling at the start, and then we just kind of faded out towards the end of the season. And I feel like everyone gave up towards the end, to be fair, but that was just that.
Yeah, you said about a few of the players maybe sort of playing for themselves rather than playing like as a team. Obviously, there's a lot of new faces. That it's going to be a completely different squad this time. From what you've seen so far in pre-season from the lads that have come in, do you think that we're going to have a better chance this year?
Oh, just from the feel alone about all the lads being there, it's just a good environment to be around. We all get on with each other. We're all actually wanting to work for each other. If one person is doing the forfeit, everybody does the forfeit, and it's definitely a better vibe than last season. And I'm very, very excited for the season to come.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as captain, I'd say probably one of your major roles within pre-season games that we've had so far has been bringing the new lads in and making sure that they sort of fit in with the vibe, and that everyone's making sure, like, keeping care of them. What do you think personally as captain? How has that affected you with so many new players coming in?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that we're bringing lads in from all over different areas, all over Manchester. Even local lads are coming in and joining in. I really enjoy bringing new lads in and seeing what they're all about, and just asking them questions, seeing where they're from, seeing who they are, just so I can get a better understanding of them, really. But no, I do definitely think it's a good step forward for us to bring in these new lads and get them mingled in with some of the old lads as well.
Yeah, happy days. Obviously, you got Tomo as manager, and obviously Paul as chairman, helping out with the training and that. What do you think of their sort of training style? Do you think it's good? Do you think it affects the game nicely?
Yeah, I think their approach this season definitely is what we need, as in playing the ball on the floor and just letting the players just express themselves a bit more. I definitely think that's the way to go, and I think we're going to see some good results coming from this season from the management side of things anyway, because like I say, Paul and Tom they're dedicated as anyone, aren't they? So definitely, I've got no issues with the way they go about things. I think it's perfect for this season.
Yeah. In pre-season, we've had a pretty decent form in pre-season. 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. How have you been impressed with the performance of the side?
Like you say, yeah, the 5 wins, they were all good wins as well. Even the draw against Bollington, that was a well fought game, and all the lads were showing that they're willing to come and turn up and put in a good performance, 110%. As long as we can carry that on into the season, and make sure we keep these results coming in, keep turning up, everyone's there on time. I think pre-season's been really positive for what's to come for us Central this season.
Is there anyone that's particularly stood out for you in terms of new lads or lads that were there last season that you think might have made a step up over the summer?
I definitely think Tyrese and Scott are 2 very good additions to the squad. Like I say, they both, well, I believe they're close friends with each other. And they just bring a whole different vibe to training, to match days. They're always up for it. They're always ready to, like I say, give 110%. I think Rory stepped up. He's been here for a few seasons now. He's stepped up quite a bit in that left back. Well, left or right back either. He enjoys that. He's playing quite well recently. Ruben Lawal as well. Quite an older face in the squad. He's been around it. He's played a few years of men's football. He knows exactly what it's about. But I can sense with him this year that he's ready to go. He's raring for it for sure.
And for you, on a personal level and on a sort of team level, what are your goals, your aspirations for this season?
Clean sheets. That's what I want mostly. Just clean sheets. Stop the ball from going into the net. Hey, look. Obviously, our main goal for me and for the team, I think it should be, is let's get promoted. Let's win some trophies and let's just succeed this season. That's what I want more than anything.
Right, so Tom, at the end there, Dan was talking about his hopes and sort of aims for this season. As the manager, what are you looking for from this upcoming season?
A lot more consistency, absolutely, as playing wise, and lads, actually, like I say, the dedication, of trying to have the same. We're not going to have it every week, but the majority of the same lads all season. 16 to 18 lads, hopefully, will be around it. And then if we have that, as we've said to the lads during pre-season, then anything can happen. Obviously, everyone at the start of the season, their aspirations are to get promoted. We're no different. But we know, like I say, we've been down at this level for a long time. There's a lot of variables and a lot of things that have got to fall into place for you. And like I say, one of them is having dedicated lads and a settled squad. So hopefully we can have that this year. And I think we'll surprise teams with what we've got, and hopefully progress through a few more younger players, which will be nice. And then aim is obviously, like everyone, like I just said, is to top 3. I think Central, that's what we're about. We always want to try and push for promotion, and this season is no different. And then again, a nice cup run would be lovely. It'd be lovely to get to another final again. It was a great occasion last season. And obviously we'll be voting 2 cups again this year. And hopefully, like I say, a good cup run is another target, and hopefully a top 3 finish.
Yeah, so I mean, we touched on it briefly earlier on, but last season we got off to such a good start. Obviously, we've got the first few fixtures, Avenue away to kick things off. How do you see the sort of start of the season going?
It looks like we've got a couple of teams we've obviously not played before. We've got Old Alts. Obviously, we played when we were back in the Premier Division days, which they'll be different. I believe they've got a new manager, for looking through on Twitter. I think it's not a bad start. To be honest with you, we had last year. We had a really tough start. We had Elton Vale, who obviously ended up getting promoted, and we had Bolton Borough, Bolton United in the first 5 or 6, 7 games. So last season was a really tough set of fixtures. Again, anyone could beat anyone in this division, but Avenue will be tough. Always has been. They're a really good organised, solid outfit, and on their pitch, which I don't know what it'll be like at this time of the season, isn't the greatest. Never has been, never will be. So that's a leveler in any way, however you want to play, or whatever kind of level team you've got. That is a leveler. So yeah, we're expecting it to be a tough fixture on Saturday, without shadow of doubt. But the first 6 fixtures as we look at it, anyone could beat anyone. We'll be looking to try and get as many points as we can. And we've only got a couple of home games, I believe, in those first 6. And a positive as well, I've kind of spun to the lads, is if you look at the fixtures we've got, I think we've at least 4 of them are on grass pitches. So it's nice to get the grass pitches out of the way now. I think last season we played a lot of grass teams in the winter and towards the end of the season when the pitches weren't great. So that's always a variable as well. So yeah, fixtures on the whole, I'm pretty pleased with them. But as we know, anyone could beat anyone. At the end of the day, we just got to do what we know we can do.
Yeah, and in terms of obviously in the Manchester Football League, like you just said there, anyone can beat anyone. How important is it that when we're at home, we are not losing games?
Yeah, it's massive. We've always said it, even from day one when Central started back in 2015. You got to win your home games. You got to try. If you can go through the season unbeaten at home, or maybe losing 1 game, 2 games maximum, you'll be at the top of the division. That's the top and bottom of it. Last season, we were too easy to beat at home. Defensively, we were really poor in a lot of games. And we didn't take our chances. We should be taking a massive positive. We played at home. We played a big pitch, it's 4G, it's a really good surface. And lads should want to come down and not get beat at home. That's the top and bottom of it. And it'll be no different this year. So, yeah, absolutely. We'll be looking to try and lose 1, 2 maximum at home all season if we want to be at that top end of the division, which is what I think the likes of Youth Vale did last season, Avenues, Avro and Govan. That's the top and bottom of it. If you pick points up away from home, it's just obviously an added bonus. But yeah, home performances and home victories is massive if you want to get promoted.
100%. Well, thank you very much for that chat, Tomo. Happy days and good luck for the start of the season. Just before we go, I just want to give a shout out to the Rate and Debate podcast. It's a podcast of a couple of friends from Manchester who just chit chat about football. And I know that this season they are following us. So it's great to have them come along. And I mean, hopefully we can get 1 or 2 of the boys from that podcast on our podcast soon. So yeah, go and check them out. There'll be a link in the description. Cheers, Tomo.
Thanks, mate.
And we're done. Yeah.